Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the one and only Garry Tonon. Back at it against Shamil Gasanov in the rematch following a knee bar victory last time they met. Shamil, 4 wins on the bounce to earn that rematch. I know that Shamil's wanted this fight for a long, long time. We haven't seen you in a while, Garry. It's been 18 months since you last competed. Welcome back. It's good to see you. How you
Thanks,
doing?
man. Yep. Very good, man. Very good. Yeah, everything's been great. And yeah, what you just said, congrats to Shamil for the last 4 victories in a row. There's some people, saying like, oh man, like why this after, it was like a pretty decisive victory. And it's like, well, he won 4 in a row. It's like, he's kind of working his way up the ladder. Like, what is he supposed to do? Who else is he really supposed to fight? There's only like a couple other guys maybe that they could have chosen. So I think this match is as good as any, and he certainly has worked his way back up to deserving it for sure.
What have you been up to in the last 18 months?
Me, yeah, I mean, I've been training still. The We've been working on building a gym out here in Austin, so that's cool. We're almost done with that. Probably opening that in about a month. That's pretty exciting. But yeah, pretty normal for me. Mostly just regular training and getting ready.
So I don't want to upset anybody, but has there been some bridges mended? Like you're pretty upset with one for a time there, and now you're back. So what's been
Yeah,
going on?
yeah, sure, man. Well, yeah, I mean, there were some major contract negotiations. I was reaching the end of my contract, and we had some disagreements about how we were going to proceed and things like that, and whether or not I was going to stay or go, and all these sorts of things. And it just took a long time to get everything straightened out in a way that I thought was good for both of us. And I think we found something that works for both of us. I'm not happy that it took as long as it did, and I'm sure one probably feels similarly. I don't think anybody wanted it to. I don't think anybody wanted it to take this long. You know what I mean? I don't think it was in anybody's best interest. But at the end of the day, we ironed out what I believe is a good deal for both of us, and I'm excited to move forward with my career in one. And I mean, this is the kind of thing that happens, especially in professional sports where um, you have contract terms and you go from different subsections of years, and then that one term ends and then you got to go renegotiate. Like this is just something that happens in sports, man. And I was prepared to do it. Thankfully, I'm not super young, but I have enough time in my career where it wasn't the end of the world for me to take some time to make sure that we got the best deal we could. So
Was there a silver lining to not competing? Because at the elite level, you guys always are carrying some kind of injury, right? Was there any kind of merit to having this time off to heal stuff up and that kind of thing? Maybe upskill? Are we going to see another level?
yeah, so for sure, I was able to definitely deal with some injuries. I mean, with chronic injuries, you they stay with you forever no matter what you do. But I was definitely able to go do some stem cell stuff in the meantime, to work on some injuries and things. And big thanks to the guys at I'm trying to remember the name of the facility. I want to say it's like CHIPSA and then CPI, if I'm not mistaken, is what they call themselves. But I did like some stem cell stuff in Tijuana. Scotty Nelson, runs a business program over there, and um, it was really good, to get to work on some injuries, like you said, that have been lingering for a long time, and kind of, do the physical therapy and everything like that that's required. Like, it's just tough, like when I mean, at least the way that I've ever always done things in athletics, like the idea of taking long periods of time off has never sat well with me. And it's kind of hard to get any of that kind of stuff to work without taking some time off. So I did utilize the opportunity as best as I could to take a few chunks of time to be able to do some PT on some lingering injuries and stuff like that. And I definitely think I'm a little bit more resilient and stronger because of it. So yeah, that's cool.
Do you feel you want to come back with a vengeance? Are you going to kind of attack this belt now?
Yeah, man. I agreed. Because it's been so much time. Like, you kind of set me back a little bit in terms of being able to get a fight for the title again. I was probably ready to my. I would imagine like my next fight or so would have been would have been another title contention fight. So yeah, I mean, we definitely want to work our way back up there. I don't really see. It's not like I don't see too many more fights, but I can understand having to have a fight in between. So yeah, I mean, we could see me fighting for the title, next fight after this one. So I think this is going to be a really, this is obviously a really important fight for me. Got to maintain what I've built there, and then keep going until we get that belt, man. It was kind of an interesting thing to see what has happened, from the sidelines, with the most recent title fight where, Tankai lost, but the other guy, Abdullah, didn't make weight, so then it's kind of like, well, they have to fight again, even though similar to like me and Shamil, it was like a pretty decisive, I thought, victory. On his part, it's like, what are you going to do? You can't give him the belt because he didn't make weight. You're not going to have them fight somebody else, so they've got to do that again. So there was no chance that I'd be able to fight either of those guys in the interim anyway, I don't think. So, I think this makes sense.
As much as I feel like journalists love to be like, give us your prediction for the fight. I understand that's kind of a crazy question, but
Sure.
are you intrigued by the test of Shamil because he has leveled up and he's so focused on getting this one back? But is the intention just go in there, submit him again?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it's always generally going to be my goal, like when I'm fighting, to submit people. It's what I've built a career on. I have decades of experience doing that at this point. So it's always going to be the general goal, but how it happens, am I like planning on doing it the same way or anything like that? It's like, fighting very chaotic. I don't know exactly where this next fight is going to take us. He's also obviously, privy to the idea that I'm maybe a little bit more dangerous than he thought. Maybe he thought, yeah, not that he's not great and everything like that, but I think that maybe he's like, man, I got this. I'm a tough grappler. Like, this guy can't submit me. And now he knows, so I'm dangerous. So, he may take the next fight, a little bit more cautiously when it comes to submission attempts and things like that. So it might completely change the way that the fight goes. Um, I would say that, you could see more striking exchanges and stuff like that, like than you did in the previous fight. But we're doing this again in Thailand, and they have a very small ring. That this takes place in Thailand. And realistically speaking, unless you have two guys who really just wanted to strike and don't want to grapple each other in an MMA context, I find it very unlikely that you don't end up in a lot of grappling exchanges in a ring like that. It's just it's even if you wanted to avoid it, it would be very, very difficult, especially with a guy like, even if only one of the guys wants to grapple and the other guy just wants to strike. I mean, you got a guy like Shamil. Like, when Shamil shoots, he just goes straight in and all the way across the cage. So like, well, in this case, it'd be a ring. You're going into the ropes. Like, there's just, no matter what even if I did a great job defending the takedown, we're going to get pushed into the ropes, and we're going to be attached to each other. It's going to be impossible to not grapple, which to me, I'm happy about, right? Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, to do anything else other than that would be very challenging unless we're in a cage with a little bit more open area, So that's kind of how I see this fight happening again. At some point, somebody's going to shoot, and we're going to get into grapple exchanges for sure.
Oh yeah, it occurred to me the last time we saw you was Tokyo, right? Kind of an historic card, beating a double champion, a one championship legend, Martin Nguyen. Does the timing work out nicely? Because I feel like if you fight in one, you want to be on this next Tokyo card, right? So does it set itself up maybe for a number one contender spot or even a title shot in Tokyo, 173?
When's that card?
November.
November. Yeah, I mean, I could see it for sure. It's definitely a possibility. I love Japan, so whenever I could fight there, it's a pleasure, and it's a great opportunity. So if something like that could happen, I could definitely see it. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, speaking of the Martin thing, back to, I know you didn't ask me about this, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to give it to you anyway. Um, Speaking of the Martin thing, like, yeah, it was a great fight, and that was Shamil's last fight, also, if I'm not mistaken. And if you watch, speaking to the ring and the cage, sort of conversation again, if you watch Martin's fight, and don't get me wrong, Martin's good, obviously, but if you watch Martin's fight and you compare it to the other fights that Shamil had, if I'm not mistaken, almost I think all of them were in rings. Um, it's a completely different dynamic when it comes to Shamil trying to go for takedowns in the cage compared to in the ring. And if I'm not mistaken, somebody told me that I think Martin specifically asked for that, which I think was a smart choice on his part. Um, but he frustrated him up against the fence in ways that very few other people were able to. It's just there's things that you can do with placing your feet against the fence, and it's like a more real barrier than the ropes. There's no bounce back and everything like that. And he was able to keep him off of his legs, a lot more than other people were, frustrate him for the takedowns. And there was even brief periods of time in that fight, like towards the end, where there was only striking and there was no takedowns. And unfortunately for Martin, he didn't manage to get like a knockout during that period of time. But like that's that kind of an example of what I was talking about in terms of the differentiation in that big cage and a ring. Different things happen. It's a lot of people don't understand how much that changes a fight.
Is there any unfinished business for you, whether it be Tan Lee, he's 39 now, or Tye Ruotolo in MMA maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I would love that rematch with Don. I'm not sure, like, like what you alluded to in terms of age and things like that. Like, I don't know where he's planning on going in terms of his career. I think it's been a while since he fought also. For sure, I'd love the opportunity to do that. I definitely, the same way that Shamil looks at me losing losing to me as like a big deal and wanting to get that back, I would, feel the same way with a match with Don. And I also just feel like the way that I chose to conduct myself in that fight, like in terms of like sitting for a leg and stuff like that, I could have made different choices that maybe, the fight would have went a different way, even back then. Like I don't necessarily. I remember people asking me if they thought like I wasn't ready for the fight back then. It's like no, I definitely think I was. I just think, there was a series of choices that were made and like maybe not the best ones, and I ended up getting knocked out. Not to say that he's not very good. He obviously hits very hard and was able to handle those exchanges well, better than other opponents because I've sat for legs on opponents before. But I think that knowing what I know now, like had I just focused on staying on top and things like that, it could have been a completely different fight. So I've wanted to get that one back for a long time. But other than that, obviously we want to just fight for the title. But in terms of unfinished business, I mean the Ruotolos, well, first of all, to be fair, let me think. Who's the one? Because I don't fully follow, and I always get confused between the two. Only one of them is converted to MMA. Is that correct?
Cade so far, but
Right, right,
Tye is not, but he is going to this year.
right. So technically, I lost the tie. Originally, I was supposed to fight Cade, and then they just changed who it was that I was fighting, as if it's there's not a weight difference. In the last like month or few weeks before the fight, which is weird, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm game. Um, so it would be a different Ruotolo, but second thing, he's pretty early on in his MMA career. Is it something that if I'm still there when he works his way up, which I'm sure he will because he's an incredible athlete? Um, yeah, man. I mean, it'd be a great fight. I think a lot of people would love to see that. I'm definitely looking forward to that as well in the future. Assuming all the stars align and the narrative aligns and everything like that. Like I think that's a good. I think it's a good test for sure, and a fun one for the grappling fans. Because that's something that they would probably love to see. Like jiu-jitsu between me and him in a MMA context. It's interesting. It's more interesting in my opinion than just a straight grappling match. Between me and him.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be super fun. I imagine you're down to fight either Ruotolo and MMA if it comes down to it. Yeah, Cade's racked up, I think, 3-0 and looked really good. And then Tye, I imagine he's going to do the same thing. As you
Sure,
said, they're
sure.
both super athletes. So yeah, ultimately, do you have any goals for the year? I mean, I mentioned Tokyo, but anything, are you a goal person? You like, right, this is getting done this year, or are you just kind of zen and leaving everything open and seeing how it goes?
Um, well, I mean, we already starting off like pretty late in the year, nothing crazy, but we're having a fight in August. So, it's not it would be nice, maybe to get another one in, like you said, like trying to squeeze something in Tokyo or something. Maybe that works out great. Um, wouldn't be the end of the world if we had to fight like early next year or something like that. I don't need. I also, like I mentioned, I'm not sure if Tenkai and Abdullah are do they have a date yet? Like, do they have anything set?
Well, they don't. But I mean,
Right.
Tankai is very much a striker, right? So, I mean, do you have a
Mhm.
preference out of those two?
Oh, between who I would fight? Oh man, it's tricky because I I was paying attention to Akbar Abdullev like beforehand, but not as much as Tankai because Tankai's obviously been more competitive in the division prior, winning the belt and everything like that. So I was like paying more attention to him, but I knew that Abdullev was going to be able to work his way up too. So I mean, I've been watching both, and I think like Abdullev has the number, and I think that he's for sure going to win. I don't think there's a likelihood that it doesn't go another way. Now, what one decides to do when that happens, in terms of what I do, in terms of who I fight, I'm not so sure what they're going to do with that. But I'm pretty sure that Abdullev will be the champ. If it, again, fighting is a crazy sport, so you never know. But that would be my guess. I think he's a little bit better all around. And so that's it's a much tougher fight in my opinion. They're both great. And Tankai I'm sure would be a tough fight too, but he was a champ. There's no getting around that. So, um, yeah, I mean, those are mostly my thoughts. I'm gonna probably, no matter what happens, like I said this last time too, as I was working my way up to the title, I'm gonna have to fight both of them anyway. If I won the championship, great, but chances are, like Tenkai is not all of a sudden going to be bad at MMA. He's probably going to still be good and do exactly what Shamil did, and rack up some victories, and then want to jump back into the title contention, and I'll be there, ready to fight him. So whatever order it happens, it's no consequence. Like if you want to be the champion, like I do, you're going to pretty much have to fight all the best guys in the division. So,
This is true. Okay, to wrap up, is there one fight you'd like to see this year? Across any discipline, one fight you think would be fun?
well, that fight, so that the path to the title
Yeah.
is clear, and I know what we can do. Um, Man, I don't know if there any specific fights that I'm looking forward to this year. It was cool to see Christian Lee back. So I'd love to see him fighting some more.
I'd like to see him fight
Um,
Soldich.
what's that?
I'd like to see him fight Roberto Soldich. I think that would be
Yeah,
a banger.
yeah, that would be cool. So yeah, I'm trying to think who else I've been following recently.
You watch any Muay Thai?
Oh yeah, I love it, but I'm also like super bad with names and like who's fighting who and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm always a big fan of the Muay Thai and the kickboxing fights that they put on, and I feel like I learn a lot from that, and being around those guys and being exposed to it more than I probably would be if I was in an organization that didn't do that. So it's pretty cool to watch.
We'll look forward to having you back,
Um,
man. It's good to chat. It's been a while. Uh, Good luck with preparation. Go smash it, and we'll catch you again. Thanks a lot.